Welcome to MarcusG.tv. I'm Chef Marcus Giuliano. I'm a chef on a mission. Today's mission is farmed salmon. You can go to my website, nofarmedsalmon.com. Being a professional chef for the last 20 plus years, I've really come to a disliking of farmed salmon for several different reasons. The flavor, the health benefits or the lack of health benefits, and the environmental destruction that happens with standard salmon farms. So here's an article that I pulled up. I got this off of Facebook this morning, off of one of those no farmed salmon sites, one of those farmed salmon advocacy groups. New Brunswick salmon farm in quarantine after virus detected. See, so what happens is when you put that many fish together, no matter how sustainable these salmon farms say they are, when you pack these pens in the ocean with salmon, with any fish, with salmon especially, there's disease that's going to happen. That's just the nature of it, okay? A salmon farm can produce the equivalent waste of a village of a population of 10,000 people daily. Now, all that waste is just deposited on the bottom of the ocean floor. And of course, the fish swim there, and in that, when one fish is on top of another fish defecating, it all goes down, it trickles down. It's like chickens. Some of these so-called sustainable chicken eggs, better chicken eggs, like Eggland's Best and these other brands that are cheaper, you get what you pay for, by the way. There's no way around it. You get what you pay for. So some of these farms, these chicken farms, they'll stack the chicken cages on top of each other and they're laying. Well, the chickens on the top are still defecating on the chickens underneath them, right? But okay, so the eggs might be fed high omega diet, so you might say, oh, omega this diet, and this egg is so much better and this and that, when it's still factory farmed, but there's a little tiny twist on it. So salmon farms, the way the salmon farms are done is just, it's very hard for something to be farmed in the ocean in pens, in these feedlots, to be healthy, safe, and sustainable. That's just the bottom line. The whole industry needs a whole flip around to become sustainable. It needs to have closed containment system inland where disease can't spread into the wild and the water can be filtered and all the excrement pulled out of the water. That's the ideal system, but they claim that's too expensive to do and this and that. So they flood our market with cheap farm salmon and they poison our environment and things like that. Go to nofarmedsalmon.com. Now, what happens is when you get salmon viruses, when salmon have ailments, when they become sick, diseased, the salmon have to be killed and put down. So here's a recent article this is from the Bay of Fundy, from New Brunswick. New Brunswick salmon farm in quarantine after virus detected. So a conservation group is criticizing federal and provincial agencies for not publicizing a preliminary test showing the presence of a potentially deadly salmon virus at a New Brunswick aquaculture operation. The Atlantic Salmon Federation says it heard on Monday that a strain of infectious salmon anemia was reported by the aquaculture company located along the Bay of Fundy. The virus can be fatal to fish but doesn't cause harm to human health, supposedly. Jonathan Carr, the Federation's Director of Research, says he went to the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, the CFIA website, and didn't find a report of the incident. Okay, they're supposed to report incidents, and that I believe it's supposed to be public knowledge, from what I understand. Without the public knowing what's going on, a lot of rumors and wildfires can happen, he said in an interview. A spokesperson for the New Brunswick government said in an email there was a suspected case of this infectious salmon anemia detected last month. The province and the CFIA are aware and working collaboratively on this. We are in regular contact with the operator who is cooperating fully on the matter. Increased surveillance and sampling efforts have been put into place in this New Brunswick chief in place by New Brunswick's chief aquaculture veterinarian. Pam Parker, director of the Atlantic Canada Fish Farmers Association, an industry group, said in a telephone interview that in March, a fish in one cage at a New Brunswick salmon farm was found to be positive for the infectious salmon anemia during a preliminary test. If you have everything shoved in a pen, in a feedlot, for one fish to only have it is, I find that really odd. Disease spreads, and the problem when you get disease to begin with is because things are packed close together. Things are living close together. So from only one fish, maybe only they tested one fish. I'm not sure if they need to elaborate on that exactly, but I find it hard that only one fish is infected. So Parker said that other salmon farms in the area were notified, and the affected farms in the the affected farm is in quarantine. She said she didn't know the name of the affected salmon farm. The CFIA was asked for comment Wednesday, but did not provide any. So what happens? It says in the article here that the fish are in quarantine. Well, what happens when you go into quarantine and the fish, and it says fish are being destroyed, what happens here is all the fish are destroyed, means they're killed. So you can have a million pounds of salmon here that are totally destroyed. You know, 500,000 fish, 1,000,000 fish, however many it is. The whole farm is destroyed. Now here's the part that sucks. They don't need insurance. In Canada, salmon farms do not need insurance for incidences like that because taxpayers front the bill. So the salmon farm doesn't have to worry about losing money. In fact, the salmon farm is going to get paid full retail value for those fish. Yes, full retail value. The Canadian government was so desperate to get these salmon farms into Canada years ago that they agreed that if you have problems, we'll, via our taxpayers, we'll give you full retail value for the fish. So if you lose 1,000,000 pounds of fish and the retail value of fish is $7, $8 a pound, $6 a pound, that's what you're going to get paid on all the fish. So if you have one fish with disease in it, and you have to kill the whole farm, which happens all the time, not just one fish, but many fish will get sick and they have to kill the whole farm. That's what happens. And a lot of these Canadian communities are in uprising because they can't afford a librarian in the library down the street, but the government can throw millions of dollars away at these salmon farms because they were so desperate to get this industry into Canada. They thought it was like the saving grace or something for their economy for this, and they just let them do whatever they want. So as a salmon farm, why would you be conscious if you if you know you're going to get paid anyway? No matter if you destroy the environment, no matter if you destroy the fish, no matter if you destroy people's health, you're getting paid anyway. It doesn't matter. Your bottom line's not affected. You're not being held responsible. If you were losing the money as a salmon farm, if you were losing the money when you had to kill fish, you'd clean your act up and you'd make sure that those fish are in a different environment, that they're not getting fed crap, that they're not getting packed together, that you're not even probably even using open pen, you're going to a closed containment system, but it's set up, the whole system is set up for these salmon farms to do what they're doing. Poison you, poison the fish, poison the environment, and rape the taxpayers. That's the bottom line. It's set up to do that. Don't expect anything different from these salmon farms. That's what's in their constitution. And nobody's stopping them. The government's giving them the full right to do it. Nobody's stopping them from doing it. You know, the only people that can stop them is you by not buying their fish. I'm stopping them in my restaurant because I don't buy their fish. I don't participate in that. I don't feel it's a fair economy. I don't care where these salmon farms are from. Canada's one example of how they have carte blanche in Canada. But other places around the world too, you know, Chile, I'm not sure how the exact rules in Scotland and the Faroe Islands, but Norway, when Norway back in the 70s said, you guys are destroying our environment, let's put the reins down and stop you guys, you know, with all this stuff. That's when these big salmon farms started migrating and moving over, and they found Canada, right? But the whole system, no matter where you're at, in Scotland and Faroe Islands and in British Columbia, in Chile, no matter where you're set up, that's the system is set up like that. The system is set up to where they need to produce more fish to make money. They need to produce more. And the only way that you can stop them is by not buying their products, by not buying their fish, by standing up and voting with your wallet. Go to nofarmsalmon.com, educate yourself, check out the dangers of farm salmon. And I don't care those so-called sustainable farm salmon. Yeah, okay. There might be some salmon farms that are a little more sustainable, that might be doing better than what their neighbors are doing or what the industry's doing. But when you look at the system to begin with, it's open pen. Open pen means they're out in the bay, they're out in the ocean. So if you're going to quarantine something, like they said they quarantine this farm's in the middle of the bay. The fish are in nets, and the nets are floating out in the bay. How do you quarantine the whole bay? How do you quarantine the ocean? How do you mark that off and section it where that disease is not getting out to other places? If you had an inland operation that had a closed containment system, which means there were pools inside of a building and the water's circulating, that's contained already. The fish can't escape into the wild. The disease can't escape into the wild. This disease, if it's here and it's escaped into the wild, it's escaped into the ocean, quarantining it now is too late. It's here. That's the problem. So the system is set up to support open pen farming. You go to a closed containment system, you're still going to have issues, right? Nothing's going to be perfect farm, especially when it comes to aquaculture. You could still have disease, but the fact is you can truly contain that disease. You can truly contain what's going on, and you can extract and clean the water. You can filter the water. You can remove the excrement from the water, not just let the excrement sit on the bottom of the ocean. And the dead zone on the bottom of these salmon farms goes for miles beyond the salmon farms, so that nothing will grow. The stuff if you went into the bottom of a salmon farm, into the bay there, the excrement is meters deep sometimes of just excrement that's been sitting. Nothing grows there. Lobsters, nothing. The sea life, it's all done and dead and gone. But that's the system we're paying for. That's the price of cheap food. That is the true price of cheap food that we don't see on a daily basis. I'm Chef Marcus Giuliano. Thanks for watching this video. If you like my videos, please hit like, subscribe to my channel, and definitely pass it on.